Now back with head coach Mark Byington of Georgia Southern. If you have a question for Coach Byington, please press *1 to get in the queue at this time for questions. Again, that's *1 on your phone to get in the queue. Georgia Southern went 22-9 overall last year with a 14-6 record in the Sun Belt Conference. That was good enough for a second-place finish in the conference standings as Georgia Southern advanced to the championship game of the Sun Belt tournament last year. Georgia Southern enters this year predicted to finish 10th in the conference in the preseason poll. Coach Byington, before we get to questions, I'd just like to get your thoughts on last season and a brief preview of this year.
Well, last season we accomplished a lot of great things. We came up an inch away from going to the going to the NCAA tournament. But a lot of firsts that were accomplished in a long time. It was the first championship game that Georgia Southern's been in 23 years, and the best record that Georgia Southern's had in 23 years. But, our guys are motivated by the fact that, we came up short and we had some success. We are working extremely hard to try to, build culture and maintain culture. This is year 3 of myself and my staff being here, and in a way I feel like we're almost starting over again. I lost a great group of seniors last year. I lost 5 players that all graduated and playing professional basketball right now. And I lost 6 of the top 8 guys I had last year from scoring. So, we are, having new guys and new roles, but I'm excited about this team. We probably, I don't know the exact number, but I bet there's not many teams as young as us in the country. We're going to have 1 graduate transfer senior, and then we have 4 sophomores and 7 freshmen. So I'm sure we're probably one of the youngest teams in the country, but I like our talent level. I like the guys I'm coaching right now. It's just going to be a year where it's even hard for me to predict how it's going to go. I think these guys are going to grow and get better and better. But it's also going to be extremely challenging with the schedule, non-conference we put in front of them, as well as I believe the Sun Belt Conference is going to be better this year too. So challenges everywhere, but our guys are excited about it as well as I am.
Thank you very much, Coach Byington. As a reminder to our members of the media, please press *1 on your phone to get in the queue to ask questions for Coach Byington of Georgia Southern. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald with the media. Dan, please go ahead.
Coach, you talked about all the young guys and everything. Does that put more pressure on Hughes and Alsmiller, coming back as the guys, they could be the go-to guys this year, even though they're just sophomores?
Yeah, Dan, those 2 guys started for me last year, even as true freshmen, and I am expecting a lot more of them. But they're in entirely different roles. Last year, those guys could kind of feed off of Jelani Hewitt, Trent Wiedemann, and Angel Matias, and let those guys kind of make the plays, and that is how to be solid. And it's a whole different level from trying to be solid to being a go-to guy and getting a crucial basket or making something there when it's not there. But those guys have gotten better. And Jake Alsmiller's put on about 14 pounds. Mike Hughes is, really kind of stepped up into an aggressive leader, which, I'm excited about. So those 2 we're going to lean on, and then as well as the other 2 sophomores on the team with Devontae Boykins and Coy Simmons, and then DaVinci Boykins, Devontae's brother, he's a transfer from Marshall. I'm hoping, since he's played a lot of basketball, that he can kind of step up, and when we have those lulls where we just look like a young team that's inexperienced, well, maybe they can step up and help us out.
I know you always look at scoring, but you also lost a lot of rebounding in those guys. You had 3 guys that sort of teamed up, Ferguson, Wiedemann, and Matias, that went and got it for you. Who's going to be in that role, do you think?
Well, it's got to be by committee. And, Mike Hughes, I think he ended up last year, even though as a guard, ended up being the top 20 in the league in rebounding. And that was along with the other good rebounders you mentioned. So, I asked the guards to do a great job rebounding. Monte Glenn, he's a freshman. He's a very good rebounder in high school. And Sean O'Connell, who redshirted last year, they should be able to grab some boards. But we emphasize the technique as much as we do the individual person getting it. So, hopefully, if we're doing the right thing, then we can go get the ball.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much, Dan. Our next questions come from Luke Johnson with The Advocate. Luke, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how are you doing today?
Good, Luke.
Question I'm kind of asking around Sunbelt coaches today. Were you surprised when you heard Sean Long was returning for his senior season, and really what makes him so good as a player?
Well, actually, I was surprised. You go against players, and sometimes guys just they stick out on the floor, and they're just a little bit better, or make things look a little bit easier than everybody else. And he was that way last year. And I think it's great for the league, and obviously for Lafayette, the fact that he is coming back, because he gives a potential pro player there that brings a lot of attention to our league. What makes him good? His versatility, and I think he was coming into one of our first games last year, and we were sitting there saying, well, he's struggling shooting, and then I think he went out soon thereafter and made 5 for 5 from the 3-point line, and he can score back to the basket. He gets about as easy double-double as anybody. He just size, and he's got very, very good hands. He's obviously a matchup problem, and there's no one else in the league like him. So, going in to play against him, you got a game plan for him, or he can go off and have a big night. And what makes him good is you can do a great job game planning against him, and he still can go off and have a big night.
Thank you very much, Coach. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Luke. We'll go back to Dan McDonald of McD Media for one more question for Coach Byington. Dan, if you're there, please go ahead.
Coach, just one more question. Among the new guys, is there somebody that's really jumped out at you in the preseason, or somebody that maybe is going to be able to have a bigger role than you might have anticipated?
Well, the guys that were returning, I think they all got better. So I think they're going to have a bigger role with Devontae Boykins and Sean O'Connell and some guys that didn't play much last year. But as far as the true freshmen, Ike Smith from Gainesville, Florida, has really played well. We went down to Costa Rica this summer, and he's extremely versatile. He can play about 4 different positions, and he stepped up. And Tukey Brown, he's a really tough competitor. He's a smaller point guard, but he definitely doesn't back down from anything. I love his aggressiveness and his mentality on how he plays. So, and then the other 2 guys, Jason Burnell, is probably as good a shooter on our team. He's a 6'7", 6'8", 4-man who just makes shots all over the floor. And Monte Glenn I mentioned earlier. So all of them are going to have to play. I mean, when you're this young, you don't know quite what you're going to get till the games get going on, but every single one of the guys that we brought in, I'm very excited about.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Dan, and thank you, Coach Byington. That's all the questions we have for you today. We appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.